No, 96. I decided to go to a high school that was specialized for the arts. I made a decision. My father told me that I'm colorful. Ms. Payton told me that I could be an artist, performer and painter, and all of that. So I wanted to make my dream a reality. So I found a brochure of this school that was an hour and a half away from my hometown, a boarding school. When I showed this to my parents, I saw that same look on their face, but more fear than hope. But my parents have always been good advocates in making sure that I am always happy, and they are such great supporters, bless them, that no matter what it takes, they will make sure that I'm happy, makes them happy. So with tears in her eyes, my mother agreed that I could go to this school. My parents are middle class. They worked really hard. They would drive me to this town called Bloemfontein and get my new school uniform, which was checked dress till the knees, white socks, black shoes, always polished, dark blue blazer, and a badger hat. Anyway, and I was excited. I was really excited at that time. And when the time came, 1997, when I was to go to this new school, my parents drove me to the new school, which was now to become my new home, this boarding house. And we were greeted by the school principal and the house mistress. And we were shown where my cubicle was, which was in this dorm with about 6 different cubicles, with 2 girls sharing in each cubicle. And each cubicle had 2 single beds with a single dresser in between to separate the 2 beds, with 2 desks, 2 tiny cupboards, just enough to fit your school uniform in, with maybe some casual clothing and your pajamas. I was sharing a room with a girl called Rachel Hart, who was a young white girl who came from a farm nearby. We started chatting, and it turned out that she's also a lover of the arts. My parents stayed, and they helped me set up my bedding, and my mom helped me pack away some things. My father even bought me flowers. And after long goodbyes and tears shed and lots of hugs and lots of bye, 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 okay, bye, they finally left. My mother cried. I found out she cried all the way, an hour and a half back home. Me, I didn't care. I was in a new school. I was excited. And so I went back to my cubicle. But then I noticed that Rachel was now moving her things out, and without looking at me, I quickly asked her, I said, Rachel, what's going on? And she said, oh, the prefects who are in charge told us to move, so they're switching things around. She couldn't look me in the eye, and I said, oh, okay, no problem. And I was teamed up with Lebogang. Lebogang came from a small town called QwaQwa, which is, I think it's on the edge, close to Lesotho, and Lebogang is Sesotho. And we started chatting and found out that we both love the arts, and we're still really good friends today. We like sisters, and it's awesome. And Lebogang and I started chatting some more, and we got along really well. And then a few weeks went by, and I started noticing that people were avoiding me. I thought, oh, that's interesting. I put on deodorant, and you know, I don't think there's anything. Did I do something wrong? But I started keeping to myself a little bit more. And at school, I started noticing that even though this system was gone, kind of still sense it at school. So a lot of the white girls would kind of stick together, and a lot of the black girls who was now free to speak their own language, Sesotho, which is very similar also to Setswana, they would just hang out more. And so I tried to hang out with them, but I couldn't understand Sesotho and Setswana that well. And I tried to hang out with some of the white girls, but I don't know, for some reason I just didn't really feel welcomed. Yeah. And so I just began to wander the schools by myself, and until eventually I found a group of older girls, you know, the misfits is what they called. I started hanging out with them, and the leader of the pack looked at me, and Bianca was her name, and she said, and just so by the way, I'm changing all the names, so And the younger looked at me and she said, "Oh, Jackie, you look so cool, hey? You're like not like everybody else. Like they're so immature. You're like 13 and you're so cool, man. But like, if you want to join our group, you first need to know, like, do you smoke?" I stood there. For the first time, this feeling of desperately wanting someone to accept me. I leaned back and I gave her the best attitude I could give, and I said, "Yeah, I smoke." And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, Jackie, you're so cool, eh?" Like, oh my God, like, okay, Jackie, like, we're gonna go on our school camp, okay? And like, we're going on a camp soon, so like, we want to bring some alcohol, we want to bring some rum. Like, do you drink? And that same attitude back, I looked at her and I said, "Yeah, I drink." A few weeks later, we're on our school bus. And we're sitting right at the back, obviously. And Bianca pulls out a cigarette. We're on our way to this camp. She pulls out a cigarette and lights it. She lights it and it gets passed on, so it's like puff, puff, give. And it comes to me and I was like, "No, I'm not feeling well today." And I passed it on. And Praktiva, the girl sitting right in front, we all know her, the popular one. This one had blue eyes, blonde hair, captain of the hockey team, turns around, looks straight at me and says, "Oh my God, I can smell it, you guys are smoking." I'm going to tell the teacher. I'm going to tell the teacher. Y'all, she looks straight at me, nobody else. I'm going to tell the teacher. Y'all, you guys, I'm going to tell the teacher. Fools, throw it out. The girl at the end throws out the cigarette. Few hours go by. Next thing, Bianca pulls out a bottle of rum. Oh my God! And she pulls out and she's having a little sippy. She passes to the next one. She's having a sippy, and just as the bottle's about to come to me, Girlie at the front looks straight at me and says, "Oh, you guys are drinking! Oh my God, you're drinking on the bus! Oh, I'm so going to tell the teacher. I'm so guys are all you're in trouble. I'm telling the teacher, it's only you." Of course, I gave the best attitude I could give, and I went, "And?" We got to our school camp, and I started hearing rumors and girls ganging, but they started talking about what colored meant for them. Colors for them was misfits, people who drank and smoked at a young age, who got pregnant at a young age, who ran away from school, who were gang leaders, and a lot of them actually feared me. They thought I was going to kill them at night. And when we got back to school, the school principal, what I didn't realize is that that group that I was in with the misfits, is that their parents were on the school board and completely denied everything. And then the principal went in front of the whole school from grade 00 to grade 12 and said, "Jackie is a misfit, she doesn't belong to this school. We're going to make sure that she gets punished, and for everybody else, let this be a warning, please try and stay away from her. We don't want her to influence anybody." And then I was brought into the school principal's office. And I sat there with my mom and dad while the school principal interrogated me again and again, alone, not with anybody else, just alone. It was my word against theirs. And kept on asking me, "Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you bring this here? Did you bring that? Did you do it?" I said, no, I didn't. And he said, "Well, I have to do something. I have to do something. I can't expel you because I don't have proof. It's your word against theirs. So this is what I'm going to do. If you choose to stay, I'm going to punish you." My mother looked at me and she said, "Come home. Come home. You don't need this. Come home." And I looked at my mom and I said, "I can't. for them. If I leave now, I'm still going to be seen as that person in a box that they think of me. I didn't come here for that. I came here for the arts. I came here for me. Daddy told me once that I'm colorful. And I believe it. And I'm going to make my dream a reality. And Mother shook her head. And I said, I'll take it. I'll take it. And so for the next 3 months, I had to stay at school. I had to stay in my school uniform. I was punished. I had to stay in my school uniform 24/7. Some of the girls would wake me up at 5 o'clock. I was put in a room segregated from everybody else. I was put in a room where I would sometimes have to kneel on sugar with my hands out and run the fields and walk the fields. And I was bullied. I was bullied a lot in the bathrooms by some of the girls. And I kept it. I kept it to myself for a long time. Because I believed in a story that my father told me. And I made damn sure I could find that. And so within all of this, I found community service. I even got the art teacher to love me, and she gave me the keys to the art room where I just pursued the arts, and where the vice principal got me involved in the theater. And when I left that school, I left with a cum laude, a black belt in martial arts representing South Africa. I walked away doing multiple murals at the school and even designing the new boarding house uniform. That for me was not the end of it. That wasn't a just of it. For me, walking out of those gates of that school was being, I'm not just a color. I am colorful. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time out. My name is Jackie du Toit. I am a storyteller from South Africa. I stand before you, not alone on the stage, but of all the ancestors and people who paved the way for me to be here, to share the love and to tell my story, our story. And never forget